What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Fast Expand, the Warcraft 3 podcast here on Heroes Hearth. Warcraft 3, it's great to have you back. It's been it's not even been 2 weeks fully. I think it was just 1.5 or so. So we decided to squeeze in another episode before Christmas because obviously over the holidays and all the food and drinks and gifts, not much can be done really. Most people are not even going to play as much. So yeah, we wanted to squeeze in this extra Christmas kind of episode. With me, of course, guys, my lovely co-host RehcraM. How's it going, my man?
It's going great, thank you. How about you?
Got any
I often
special
forget to
plans?
ask you. Festive plans? No, it's gonna be pretty chill. I'm gonna be together with my family and
Nice.
yeah, just the core family.
Cool. Yeah, same here. I'm actually looking forward to having like 2 or 3 days off, without playing video games. Don't want to overdo it. 2 days is enough, then you got to go back to the PC. That's enough. But yeah, it feels good. So we actually decided, RehcraM, you had this idea, right? Or someone brought this idea to you. It was requested that, or it would be cool if we would take care of some of the questions or some input by the viewers. We're actually very happy and very proud that there is a little bit of a listener base, a viewer base growing for the podcast, and that really means a lot to us. And for that reason, when with Christmas around the corner, we decided to give that gift to you guys. So today we're going to read some questions, feedback whatsoever that entails Warcraft 3. Are you excited about that?
Yeah, I think it's a good way to go about it because then we don't forcefully talk about something and go on a tangent, and it's nice to hear what the listeners are thinking and what they want to hear.
Yeah, for example, there were some people who were saying that we were focusing, in their opinion, a little bit too much on esports, and they wanted to hear more about strategies. And that's totally legitimate, of course. Without the feedback, without such feedback, we wouldn't know, hey, what is it that part of the viewership or listenership actually wants to hear? So very grateful for the feedback. Especially if it's presented well and politely, It's not like, yo, you guys suck. I can't listen to this crap. They're not even talking about strategy, all the esports dirty all the time. I mean, there's people who like to present feedback like that, but
I feel like our listeners have been doing a good job,
yeah,
giving constructive feedback instead of just
exactly
being all negative.
I think the Warcraft 3 community as a whole is very nice in that, compared to other games that attract a younger audience. That's at least what I've come to think.
Between, but yeah,
but I was gonna say, man, RehcraM, you've been following the community way longer than me. I'm still a baby, so
I mean, for the vast majority, I've had a good experience with the community for sure.
Nice.
So it's just very few that either
Very
don't
good.
know how to present their feedback, and then there's some who just tries to ruin the day for everyone else.
Yeah. I hope I'll survive this episode, by the way, because I did something crazy today, man. I didn't have any food left at home, nothing, and I've been trying to go grocery shopping for 2 days in a row now, but never got to it. So today I went, and I haven't eaten anything. I woke up, went shopping. Big mistake. Go grocery shopping with an empty stomach, by the way.
Shouldn't do that. That's gonna be expensive for you and unhealthy.
Yeah. So after we're done recording today, I'm gonna finally be able to eat for the first time of the day.
Time for a feast.
Yep. I wonder what I should get though.
Is that what happens when your girlfriend leaves you?
Oh my god!
Food in the house. Nothing.
Thankfully, I've become a big boy. I'm no longer dependent on a lady to keep me fed. I can take care of myself. My mother is actually very proud. She oftentimes told me that she believed she did so many things wrong in my education. Like spoiling me a little bit too much, like a young prince. But I wouldn't say I'm a good cook or a good chef, but I know how to survive and surprise, and how to surprise my girlfriend every now and then. What about you?
I don't have a girlfriend surprise, so
easy solution. But do you know how to cook for yourself, or are you mostly ordering stuff? And
I'm not really ordering. I don't think we have a culture for ordering really in Denmark. So I can cook, but it's mostly like a few, like 10 dishes I make, and then I
Nice.
make those a lot.
I bought Christmas presents today, and I went to, I'm not sure if you actually have that in Denmark. You probably should. There's a brand called Danish Bed Storage. I think you translate it into English. It's like a blue logo. They sell mattresses and beds and stuff like that.
Is it like a swan or
Yeah,
a
yeah,
goose?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. They have that as a logo.
yeah, I know that.
And I went there because I was trying to go for one or two gifts, didn't find anything, but they had this hygge everywhere. You spell
Hygge?
it HYGGE.
HY?
HYGGE. It's supposedly some
Oh,
sort of
okay, I see. Yeah,
how do
okay.
you pronounce it correctly?
Hygge.
Hygge.
Mm.
And it's a big thing apparently right now. Is it
Yeah,
is it safe to say it's the kind of like the feng shui of Denmark? The how you live and how you put your house in decorations and stuff.
yeah, a bit, I guess. It's like it's weird. We are very proud of it because no other language really have a word for it. But in reality, it's just like a cozy establishment. So it's like
Yeah.
when you're playing board games with friends and having a coffee and chilling and just cozy environment, I guess.
Okay. Or you're having a Warcraft 3 podcast, enjoying yourself.
Exactly. That is hygge. That is. I think that's the definition of hygge.
Good cozy feeling. I love it. Yeah, they had that sign all over the place. Hygge, hygge, hygge here, and then gives you the best feeling and whatever. But I didn't find anything, so that was my exciting day for today. But let's actually move away from intros and stuff that is not Warcraft 3 related necessarily, and move to our first big topic, and that is, of course, you guys will have heard about it, you will have read about it. The announced official release date for Reforged. It has finally been shared by Blizzard with us, and long story short, they didn't keep their promise that they would release it in December 2019, and instead they go for an additional month and they say January 28th. That is going to be our new and final release date. Final question mark, Um, but a lot of people, it was a lot of people took it positively, myself included, and I will tell you later why. And a lot of people took it negatively. They were like, Blizzard lied to us, and I am going to cancel my pre-order and get a refund. What is your take on the whole situation, RehcraM, and which party would you say you belong to? Are you part of the people that took it very critical and very negatively, or are you happy, like me, that they have a little bit more time now?
I'm not really in a rush to get the new game because I think I'll be continuing to play on the old graphics, and I don't think I'll feel that much of a difference.
Mm-hmm.
There's of course bigger player base and leagues and
Yeah,
such.
the
But
client and all that stuff.
yeah, that's gonna be good. But from gameplay aspect, I don't want to say I will feel a big difference. So I'm okay with delaying it if that means I'll get a completed game.
Yeah.
I can understand those who have waited and have really yearned for playing a good game of Warcraft again and want a completed version, as fast as possible to play a campaign and such. So I can understand that some people are negative about it, but I think it's that most of the people who are negative are also people who just want to play the campaign, for example. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not like the community that we already have. I haven't really seen anything negative about it there. So, I'm pretty happy about it, but I can understand why some, groups of the game will be a bit, they want it soon.
Yeah. I think you mentioned a good point. I think there's two categories of players that are waiting for the game Reforged, and that is the guys who are mainly interested in single player. They just want to have the campaign. They want to have childhood memories being brought back to them, when they first encounter Arthas and Illidan and Uther and all the heroes. But then there's the second group who might be interested in single player as well, but is mainly there for the multiplayer. They want the the 1 versus 1. They want the 2v2, and maybe even custom games. They want to play online with or against other people. And I think for the latter, for the multiplayer people, the delay is good, because that means less bugs that could cause glitches, crashes, imbalance in the matchups, in the competitive games. And maybe we now get the ranked ladder with release. Who knows? Maybe it still takes a week, maybe it takes 2 weeks, but we don't know. Maybe we will have a finer, more well-rounded online experience, hopefully at least. But I think
crossed.
if you're a single player person, man, you were looking forward to maybe playing this around Christmas, when you're on holidays, or maybe you've just been waiting for so long, and you were promised all the good stuff, and you were maybe a little bit sad already because they backed down on some of the single player features, like the newly recorded cutscenes in every angle, and it would be different, and they took already some of the single player stuff back. So maybe that was just the famous drop that made the barrel overflow. What do you think about that?
I think that's true. I mean, it's obvious that there's already some negativity about it, and that's
and to be honest,
because,
justified.
Yeah, for some things, like
Yeah.
going back on their promise with the cutscenes, for example. I think that's definitely mostly negative, because there were some who were afraid that you would change the story too much, and they also went back on that. But the cutscenes themselves, I think everyone would like to see new stuff, like we saw in the introduction. I don't know what the cinematic is called, but the one with the raining chaos and
pay
heed to the
exactly.
ancient calls.
Yeah, and I think they had that last year at BlizzCon with the culling of Stratholme, where they showed this new angle, and the new direction they wanted to head. They basically showed all that, and then they said, we can't do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Such is life.
Yeah, and I think the thing is, though, and that's really something I wanted to talk to you about as well, RehcraM, is a lot of people, especially, with the most recent things, and just think back of Hong Kong and think back about last year's BlizzCon and how disappointed people were with the Diablo. And I think people just have a really easy time right now to hate on Blizzard and to immediately do that. And with a very well-expressed intensity, that maybe they wouldn't show towards a different game developer at the moment. And sure, a lot of it was justified, and I'm by no means a blind person that just praises everything Blizzard does. But I think people are very quick to judge Blizzard these days, when obviously they're trying their hardest to make the game good. And sometimes we can also not forget that they change stuff because of the community. For example, I know someone who was disappointed in Reforged not having new sound effects or new voices or new items, for example. Imagine if they did that, just to make this group of fans happy who would have loved the new changes. Just imagine the backlash, dude, when they changed the voices of Illidan or the voices of the Death Knight, People will go crazy. So I really think sometimes you can't fault the developers for not doing something, because the community would go crazy.
Yeah, I think it's a fine line between catering to the people who haven't played Warcraft or have played it a long time ago, and then catering to the current audience. Because, for example, like a simple example is the Elder of Storms. Have you seen the new one, where the lightning is constantly now, whereas in the original, the lightning between the towers only when you're building a hero. So that's something when current players saw that's like, why is that a thing? Now it looks like he's always building a hero.
Yes. I think that's with the crypt as well. The crypt always has this green light around it and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But I just remember then they said something about, but it makes more sense for like new players to see like Elder of Storms, so there's like a storm always. So that's one thing where they cater to the new audience, and I think that's fine. We'll get used to it.
Yeah.
The small details.
Hey, Side, by the way, welcome in chat. Good to see you, man. Good to see you, buddy. How's your beer coming along? Oof, too soon. I heard crazy things from RehcraM about what happened.
Oh, you haven't seen it yourself?
Oh, yeah, you showed me the picture. I haven't seen it on his stream. I wasn't able
Saw
to
that,
tune in.
Mm.
Okay. But yeah, totally. I mean, do you think this month really is enough for them to polish the game?
They won't have a perfect game, but I don't
Yes,
really.
I agree. I agree.
How many games are perfect upon release nowadays?
But
So,
it's
you know,
Blizzard, they used to stand for quality.
I mean, I've only really played one Blizzard game, and that's Warcraft 3, and I'm pretty happy with Warcraft 3. So if they can deliver to the same quality, then I'm happy.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. So I think I'm just hoping for the best, dude. I'm just hoping for a seamless release, a smooth release where we won't have server issues, where we won't have game-breaking bugs or crashes, where everything is just working. Whether it's the prettiest game, whether it's the most optimized game, as long as it just works. As long as there's not anything that really screams it's not finished. And I mean, there will be patches, probably weekly or monthly.
I think they said like a big patch every 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the plan
Yeah.
they had.
And that makes sense too. And that is just frankly the difference too between just simply remaking a game or reforging it. It's just they very specific. A lot of people say, look at StarCraft remastered, and it's just not the same. They really wanted to make something different, and I really hope they take their time and to prevent the fate that StarCraft remastered now has, where the hype fell off really quite a bit, and I really hope that Warcraft 3 Reforged will be something that really continues to build on the legacy. And as strange as it sounds, right, RehcraM, after 15 plus years, we now have a game that is picking up a lot of momentum. We look back to Warcraft and their success. We look at the esports viewership. I think I saw graphics and comparison by esports charts where they said WGL 2019 had like 70% more viewers or something like that.
I could imagine that. Yeah, it's definitely been growing, both VGL and
see if I can actually find that.
Just the small tournaments, and clan leagues as well.
Yeah, absolutely. There's and certainly Reforged and the imminent approach is one of the reasons for it. So even if Reforged doesn't turn out to be the perfect game that we all had hoped for at release, it's already done so much for the scene. It's brought back Warcraft 3 into the headlines. It's gotten a lot of people back from the shadows, to check it out. And even if they just stay for a month, that month is going to be a great one for them and for the community.
True, yeah. And just the patches we have had the last few years.
Yeah.
Because of Reforged, I think it's been very healthy for the scene. Some might disagree, and there has been some, balance flaws in it. But I think overall it's good that they keep things fresh and add new maps and do a bit of experimenting to keep things alive.
Yeah, absolutely. I for one can't wait. I'm going to play all the campaigns. I am going to check them all out, and I'm looking particularly forward to the Rexar one. That one's going to be good. And then, of course, play some multiplayer. And I've already started to play a little bit more, even off stream and on stream. And it still takes a while to even get remotely close to where I was, but it's fun. It's so much fun.
That's the important part.
Yes, it really is.
If you're having fun, then the improvement is also much faster. So
yeah, I'm even thinking about signing up for the Rising Star Cup tomorrow, dude.
Hey,
trying to follow your footsteps, RehcraM, dude.
Yeah.
Are you gonna be there as well?
I am. Yes, I'm gonna be there.
Cool. Can you imagine if we faced each other in the first round and then the podcast would be over because the loser would never forgive the winner?
I don't think they will seed the top player and the second best player in the first round. So I think we're safe.
Fantastic. Showing us to back to Warcraft, it feels like we're almost shouting them out every episode, but it's a really nice cup. It's a well-deserved and really nice cup. I love watching it. My Saturday afternoons are saved. And we even have some super cool matches from not so well-known players. So I can't wait.
That's
see.
almost my favorite part. Like the first rounds where you
Me
see
too.
some,
Yes.
unknown players or semi-unknown players playing against each other. And then later on, we can get like Hawk versus Foggy and
Mm-hmm.
Hawk versus Happy,
Yeah.
who won't play this time. But
That's
some
right.
well-known faces.
Because when you watch the unknown players, there's a big chance that they are on your skill level, maybe a little bit higher, maybe a little bit lower. But those are the replays or the games where I think you can learn a lot because you have third person commentary over it. You see some obvious mistakes, some not so obvious mistakes where you're like, hey, that happens, that could be me. When I watch a Happy replay, I never think this could be me.
And some of them also take some ridiculous strategies, and some of them are both fun and semi-viable, and some of them are just out there, completely out there.
Yeah.
But that's what makes it fun to watch as a spectator.
Yeah, absolutely. Now some people said we shouldn't talk so much about esports, but we gotta touch some of the topics still before we move on to the big Twitter / Reddit questionnaire that we got going on. So RehcraM, man, we had some clan war leagues coming to an end.
We did indeed. 2 big clan leagues. We had the Warcraft 3 Info League. We talked a bit about that last time, where I believe we only needed to conclude the grand final. True. Or maybe it was before the playoffs. Anyway, Yuma took it, and they were the favorites coming in. They won the division, so applause to them. And Dust reaching the final, and coming from relegation, and taking the entire road and getting second place in the league, and putting on good performance.
Yeah, most people probably would have expected the Swedes to stand in the finals, maybe.
Yeah, I think so, because we know that Cruncher and Hitman are really good players, but there are not really any other players that I think they are just like the top-notch players. But some like FK in the 2-on-2 match, he plays so well on 2-on-2, and then Ark, he didn't win any points for the clan, but he put on a great performance. So kudos to all of the team members.
Is it already confirmed that these leagues will be continued next year?
Yeah, it is.
Cool.
And then apart from Warcraft Info League, we had the Gold, which is still running. Actually, we need 1 clan more, and that was actually, Neo had a sick cast where I think he cast like 12 hours or something, close to 12 hours at least.
Yeah.
From 5 in the morning, I think, because of Chinese time to 4 or something.
Yeah.
And Happy's team, unfortunately, was eliminated. But we had.
I think I read his tweet where he said, not happy, disappointed in his games, and so much travel, but so few games. He thought it was best of 3, but it was best of 1.
Yeah, I can understand that it's a long journey, and then everything is just best of 1. But it makes sense because they had to play like 5 clan wars in 1 day. So of course they can't have anything big.
Yeah.
So it's just like 5 each clan wars, like 5 matches. That's best of 1.
Yeah.
And Happy's last game was eliminated against like 100 supply tanks, so that kind of felt good.
Oh my god, I can only imagine what that feels like.
Yeah, it was rough.
So yeah, that was your short as possible esports fix that you got on the podcast.
Now we'll have a grand final the 3rd of January, I think it is. So tune in for that.
Yep. Could have been reforged, but now no longer.
Nope.
So I'm moving my slider over to reading your questions, and that personally is going to be my favorite topic of this episode because we've never done it before. I think it's a great idea. It gives us plenty of stuff to talk about, and without further ado, I where did you get your questions from, RehcraM? Was it any different source than Twitter and Reddit?
I asked in Discord. We have like a gym Discord, it's called. That's like catering to new players, and new players can come and ask questions. So I asked there.
Let's start actually with those because I don't have those. I'm not on that Discord. So let's go to the other ones later and start with yours.
I have two questions that I
Okay,
took. So, who
shoot
are
it.
the players to watch for 2020? Do you want to start?
Repeat, please.
Who are the players to watch for 2020 in the upcoming year?
The
Up and
players to watch.
coming.
He means, or the person means esports players. Like,
Yeah, that's what I
okay,
imagine.
okay.
Like, the up and coming players is like what I took from it.
It's hard to say, man. It depends on how seriously people take it. I'm not sure which player that I think is hot is going to fully dedicate themselves. But from what I think they're in shape now would be Spiral. I want to see the journey of Spiral continue because I think he has what it takes to just play on par with the non-Europeans on a good
He
day.
also signed with Oceanus again. So he
Yes,
played
true.
for them again.
Yeah, very true. Then it depends, I just want to see if Kiwi can hold his momentum, with his exotic builds, his crazy style, or if
Yep.
it's just something he does for a few weeks and then, people have figured it out and, he's not really going to surprise anyone anymore.
I mean, I think he's played that style for like when he started playing Warcraft like 15 years ago. So I think he'll stick to it.
Yeah. I want to see if he can maybe even win a cup every now and then, if they can do that. So that's the two non-Asians that come to mind. Personally, when I think about Asian players, Koreans, Chinese, I want to see the humans, basically the Korean humans, man, Sok and Jimiko. I want to see if they can really step up their game to maybe reach the level of a TH at some point, or if they're always going to be that one step behind. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we already seen like Saka is, at two Widgets in a row, he's been putting on a good performance. So I think he's like
Romantic too. All these humans,
especially
man.
romantic.
Yeah.
Romantic. I don't know if I've mentioned that before, but he eliminated both Happy's team by beating Happy in the one in best of one,
Yeah.
and then he eliminated 1-0's team by eliminating him. So he just took the undeads dead on.
When we thought Undead was an auto win against humans these days,
Nice. Bringing back the tanks.
Yeah. So yeah, that would be my three Asian players. The three humans, the tier 1.5 humans next to TH, maybe an Infi. So see if they can make it. What about you?
I think my top two that I really want to see perform more is Remind for the first part. He just came back. He's already looking very strong. He got the finals on, I think it was a Shook Cup, a small cup. He's been looking really good. He eliminated both Romantic and Chamigo in that cup. Even though Nightelf is considered weak against human, he just played both Warden, won with Warden, played Demon Hunter, won with Demon Hunter, and played Key of the Grove, eliminating Chamigo 3-0 or something like that. So he's doing really good, and we all know that he's like a legendary player. So he can, I think he can reach the peak he had.
Did he stop after his BlizzCon title 2010?
He played a bit after that too, but I'm actually not sure when he stopped.
Yeah, look at his Wikipedia page right now. There's nothing major past 2010. Okay.
But I hope we'll see him like become, as good as Moon and Lolliot is now, become on their par. And then the second player is definitely Hitman. I mean, I mentioned this time and time again, but 1 year ago, nobody had any idea who Hitman was. He just returned. He just started competing 1 year ago, and now he is, arguably the best American player, and he competes with the best of them. And one thing I like about Hitman, he grinds. There are many good players, like Forsen, who I'm very fond of. I like Forsen because he has a nice style and he's very smart, but he doesn't grind. He's busy with real life. Hitman, on the other hand, he just plays the game, and I really appreciate that.
Who would you say is, in your opinion, of course, highly subjective, is the stronger non-Asian orc, Spiral or Hitman?
In Mirror.
Well, not necessarily in Mirror, just overall.
Overall. I think that's hard. I'm gonna give it to Hitman.
Okay.
Yeah. I think he would win in a mirror
Mhm.
because his mirror is quite strong. Um, I haven't seen the Spiral play too much recently, actually.
Mhm.
So it's mostly because I know that Hitman is very strong.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Hitman definitely a hot player to follow, and I fully agree. I really hope this WGL Winter invitation was his last one. I hope there's going to be more of him. I hope he'll either get invited or qualify in the future bigger tournaments. Would be very cool to see. Same for Cruncher. I'm really excited to follow these players from NA to win back or bring back a little bit of glory to the region.
And the upcoming, I mean, it's not only the top 2 players I want to see. I also want to see other people from Americas, rise up to their level.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
so they have a solid all-around roster instead of just only relying on Hitman and Cruncher.
Mm-hmm. Very true. Very true. Second question
is, when is Kendric versus RehcraM show match going to happen?
Wait, what? Oh, wait a minute. See, oh my goodness.
That was the
RehcraM.
question I got. I am not making.
Hey, so you're always watching my streams, which I'm very grateful for, by the way, my Warcraft 3 streams. So you always drop amazing insight. You say what could have been done better, but I've never seen you play.
No,
so
I've
we
been
need to
trying
get
to
back
snipe
to
you.
Warcraft to cast your next game tomorrow.
Oh no.
And I want to see it.
I hope that's not gonna happen.
Before I accept the challenge.
I actually, whenever you stream Classic, I try to snipe you whenever,
Oh.
And the Q guards, they have not been kind to me so far. But, one day
I see.
we'll get there.
Yeah. We could do that for a special episode. Maybe we can even talk to someone who would cast that, and then we have it as a special thing we can talk about. Maybe
Sure.
What episode is this? I totally forgot. 5? 6?
6, it says in the
6.
title. Yes.
So maybe, let's say, if we make it to 25.
Oh wow, that's
You think that's too far?
You get time to prepare then.
Of course.
I'm down for it. Yeah, I'll take you at 25 or 30 or 15. Just give me a time and a place, and I'll be there.
Cool. All right, let's do it. 25, episode 25. That's a good number, I think.
Okay,
good.
See you in a year or so.
Oh, hey, we've been pumping out some good episodes lately, so
that's true.
I think we'll be there February, March.
Wow. Maybe. Okay, you plan on going hard on these episodes.
All right. You know what? Let's just continue with a question in chat that we have from Bondi, who asks, with the release of Reforged, how can Blizzard improve and grow Warcraft 3 esports?
Solid question. For starters, I hope they'll do like an event of some sorts when they do the release. If it's just maybe one show match, I have said Grubby versus Todd would be hype, I guarantee it. But it could also be something, bigger, where it's like open qualifiers or, just invitational with all the current big players.
Yeah.
And then in the longer run, I mean, you can very easily, get some inspiration from their other games like StarCraft, where they host big tournaments and such. So if they pour money into it, I'm sure there's going to be plenty of people who want to organize it and play in it.
That's a really good point. I think if they chose a show match event, they should go for highly popular people. So not us, they should choose someone else. And now you mentioned a Grubby Todd show match. I mean, that's 2 big names, 2 big streamers. That would be fantastic, especially for European
and there's
fans.
So much drama about them. I mean, I'm not sure where the drama exactly comes from, but like people are tense when they are playing just on ladder.
Oh yeah, dude, the chat is not the same.
So imagine a best of 7.
Yes, to settle it once and for all
on Booty Bay, all the maps. That would be fantastic. That's the dream for me.
Yeah. No, you're totally right, dude. When Todd faces Grubby on ladder or vice versa, then I can't wait. I remember it was only a few weeks ago. I tuned into Grubby's stream late at night, and I didn't know what was going on. I was just looking. Oh, he's playing against Human. Oh, he's playing against Todd, and I knew chat was like super serious. They were like cheering for
Everyone
Grubby.
Loses their mind when
there's Todd viewers coming over. Then I watched Todd as well. There's Grubby viewers coming over. It's like it's crazy banter, and I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We either gotta get fully into the drama or we have to ignore it, and I'm not prepared to ignore it. So I'm full on the drama, and I'll accept it and engulf myself in the drama.
Yeah. Now, very cool. Or they could go for a bigger event, like you said. They've done that before already, where they invited people like Insomnia, Matt Frog, and
And that was a great
Taker.
event. Yeah.
Oh, that was so much fun. That was so great. So yeah, let's see. Let's see what Blizzard has planned. I hope they've got something planned. It would be very sad if they let that chance slide away. If they just don't do anything on Twitch or YouTube. It would be very cool. Even if they involve people outside of Warcraft 3, maybe it's bigger streamers from other games and StarCraft 2 streamers, for example, or what have
Cyril
you.
versus Reyna in Warcraft. Who's gonna win?
Yes.
Trying to split that blight with undead buildings all over the map.
Oh, it would be so much fun if they had StarCraft players try themselves in Warcraft 3. That would be so cool. Give them like 1 or 2 weeks to prepare and then send them in.
That would be funny to see at least.
Absolutely.
And quite a good laugh. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, but yeah, what can they do to help grow the scene? I mean, it's the same with other games too. So it all comes down to Blizzard support. I mean, right now we don't have a lot of Blizzard support for Warcraft 3 in terms of BlizzCons or bigger Blizzard sponsored tournaments. It's all third parties, really. NetEase is the only exception, maybe.
Yeah, that's like semi-official. I don't think
Exactly.
Blizzard is funding anything, but that's like their partner funding.
Exactly.
And that's big tournaments. That's the GOAT League.
Yeah. So have a solid support shown by the developers, because I know this from Heroes of a Storm, man. I've seen a game abandoned or get abandoned and left hanging in the open by Blizzard, and in terms of esports, the moment the community sees, or investors, sponsors, they see that the own developers are not backing up the game anymore with esports support, that's where they let everyone fall. And Heroes of the Storm is
I think that's one of the things we shouldn't allow in our community, become fully reliant on Blizzard support for esports.
Yes.
Because right now, even though we don't have the biggest prize pool compared to other games, we have a very, very healthy esports scene, and we have many tournaments, we have clan leagues, we have offline tournaments and such. And I just think that it's important that we keep relying on our own sponsors and such, instead of only having one
and that's the thing as well. Like, what do we want for the game to achieve? Do we want a highly professional, super hardcore esports scene that's big with bigger names, bigger teams involved? Or do we want to keep it in the status quo where we're like, hey, most of the stuff is third party. We don't need Blizzard necessarily. We have other people who take great care of the game. I think the question as often gets answered somewhere in the middle, somewhere in between. It's great. Let's say Blizzard says, we're going to have BlizzCon back. We're going to have this once in a year big old tournament where it's truly the most prestigious stuff, and we back that up. But everything in between, we have those NetEase tournaments, we have other stuff. And sure, we give them our support, but it's not just us who takes care of everything. And that's what happened in Heroes of the Storm. Everything was Blizzard-centered, Blizzard-directed, and when they dropped the ball, organizations said, okay, we're out. A lot of players said, okay, we're out. And now the game is basically kind of similar to Warcraft 3 in a way, where there's amateur leagues and cups and stuff like that, but nothing major like it used to be.
No. I hope that hot scene will also grow and have like a healthy scene again, even though they have to get adjusted to making their own tournaments and such.
Yeah. So just show passion, man. I think a lot of people say, what can Blizzard do? And I think these questions are obvious. Fund money, do good promotion, have good marketing, make good patches, just keep the game interesting. But the question, as always, can also be answered by asking, what can the community do? And that is just as important, if not more important. Show passion. Don't exclude people. Don't be toxic. Don't be an idiot. Show passion and support the content creators. I say this a lot, man. Support podcasts, casting, YouTube channels, Twitch channels. Support all that, even if you don't necessarily agree with some people, or you can't stand everyone. That's human nature. But don't try to bring them down, or don't try to shit talk them. Just, if you don't like something, just ignore it. But support the people you like.
Yeah, or tell them why you don't like what they're doing in a good manner.
Very true. Very true. All right, great question, man. Great question. So, all right, this has been fruitful already. We've got a show match coming up. We talked about esports and how they can make it grow. Fantastic. So I'm gonna take over and I'm gonna read you the 2 questions that I wrote down from Twitter that were tweeted at me. There were more, but I think it would basically take too much time to answer them all. So I'm gonna start off with Queenie, who is a fellow streamer, StarCraft streamer, Overwatch streamer, so a Blizzard fan person. I want to call her, and
Sure.
she asked on Twitter, for someone that hasn't played Warcraft 3 before, what's the best way to get in it, especially now with Reforged around the corner? What would be your top 5 tips for a new player? I guess we don't have to keep it at 5. We can just drop some good tips for new players. And I think you're the perfect person to ask, RehcraM.
Well, thank you. It's a loaded topic. There's a lot of things you can do, and there's a lot of things you should do to get into the scene. I think the very first thing probably is to play the campaign. It's both very fun to play, in my opinion, and you don't learn a lot of the very basics like unit control and control groups and
you learn what the
producing
units
units.
do and the heroes.
Yeah, exactly.
And the items.
Not necessarily, you don't really learn the correct gameplay, but that's not the point. Just how to get around on the map. I think that's the first thing, and that's the I guess the most natural thing to do.
Yeah.
Then after that, then you are kind of faced with the decision if you want to practice against, bots. I found that kind of boring, so I didn't do that.
Never been a fan of that myself either. I can't do it.
So what I personally did, which is probably not the best way to go about it, I went into, back then it was called Warcraft 3 Arena, which was like the server you played on. And I got slaughtered for like 100 games straight, and I just kept losing and losing. But gradually I got better. But what I think is better to do, an approach I should have taken, is to find people who are also new. Because when Reforged comes, there's going to be a lot of new people, and there already is a lot of new people if you want to start now. So check out Gym, Warcraft 3 Gym. As I mentioned before, that's like a place newcomers can come and ask questions and find partners to play with and learn a bit more. So I definitely recommend that.
So there's a Discord channel, and I just typed it into Google, WC3 Gym, and you should normally find it there.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of good people. We have both Side is in there giving good feedback, and Arkinator is in there. So we have a lot of good people who are willing to help. And then we have a lot of mid skill and the newest of new. So it's like a big spectrum. That was only 2 things. What else? Play a lot. It's a game that you can,
Yeah, I guess it's important. It's not necessarily just something for the in-game mechanics, what you can do in-game, but what you can do outside the game. And I think that's just as important almost. Don't get frustrated when you lose. And I know that especially if you have a StarCraft 2 or StarCraft background, you kind of know that. But I think if you're a multiplayer gamer or a single player gamer and you try out Reforged now after all those years, you're like, hey, I can try it out now. It's very, ladder anxiety is a thing, and I was suffering from it back in the years too, because I was scared of losing. And the moment I think you show this anxiety, oh my goodness, I'm gonna lose my rank, I'm gonna lose my stats, I'm gonna ruin them. That's already when you go in with a very unhealthy mindset. So you're gonna lose a lot in the beginning. I'm going to lose a lot as well before the matchmaking has calibrated a little bit and found out your true match skill level. So just be prepared to lose and take every loss as an opportunity to learn and get better.
Exactly. I think that's very important to keep have the focus be improvement and having fun. And then, don't focus on your results and put away all your pride. Especially if you're coming from StarCraft and think you're going to be a god at RTS like Warcraft. Because from what I hear, it's not really that transferable. Of course, there's some things about it that you can take away, but it's mostly about the mindset of improving is what I think is important. So no pride, campaign.
Yep.
Discord, play a lot,
Mhm.
because that's in the end, that's the way you get better.
Yeah.
And then use the resources the community you have. We have guides, we have
And,
beginner-friendly streamers you can ask for advice. And
and
that's
maybe also consider custom hotkeys. I never
yeah.
used custom hotkeys when I played all these years ago, but now thanks to RehcraM, I was able to get some really nice hotkeys, and it really helps, man. When you have universal hotkeys for all the races, let's say QQ is always a burrow or a ziggurat or a farm. That's really nice to know. And I'm pretty sure there's many sources that help you create those custom hotkeys.
Yeah, I mean, I think in Reforged you're gonna be able to do it like in any modern game where you can just type it in the browser. And I think there's gonna be grid keys like automatically in the engine.
Yeah.
Right now you have to edit a note file.
Yeah, that's the
Kinda
reason why I
tricky.
never did it. I was too lazy.
Yeah, you can Google it, and some people already have made grid files you can use.
Hmm.
Um, so if you Google a bit or ask around, you should be able to find it.
Yeah. And maybe in terms of races, what's a good beginner race? What would you say?
I mean, I think the most common thing to say is that orcs and night elves are the easiest race to start on, but I think it just comes down to what you want to play.
Yeah.
Don't choose the race you hear is the easiest or
the
the
best.
most imbalanced. Yeah, exactly. Just pick what you think is cool, and it doesn't matter what it is. Maybe it's the voice lines you think are cool, or the art style,
Hmm.
or the play style.
That's another reason why you should play the campaign, man. You play the campaign, and then you get a really good sense. You get a really good feeling about each race. You know what they stand for, what vibe they have, what heroes they've got. That's how I decided to go Undead. I never was a fan of the Scourge in World of Warcraft or anything else. But in Warcraft 3, man, I abandoned my alliance path. Didn't play human because I just didn't like the mechanics in the campaign. And Uther was cool, yeah, and Muradin as well, but Arthas was just cooler. And that's why I followed the Undeads.
That's why I took them. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, great
Fair.
question though. Thanks, Queenie. Yeah, my next question comes from Ves_111. And he asks, or she asks, which campaign mission, very good transition by the way, are you excited to see the most in Reforged and why?
I can hardly remember the campaign. I think
Fair enough.
I'm gonna say the mission that I remember the most vividly, and that's because I played it a lot before I managed to win it.
Mhm.
And that's the very last mission in the Frozen Throne where you're playing Undead and have to defeat Illidan and the Naga forces and have to take control of the 4 obelisks on the map.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. That's a good one. The most memorable to me is probably in ROC when you defend the Tree of Life or the Tree of Ages, sorry, or what is it even the Tree of something?
Yeah, I think it's Tree of Life. That's maybe it's because of playing earlier. I think it's called Tree of Life. But
yeah, you defended against the Burning Legion, Archimond, and the other demon lords that they've got, and you have to unite Thrall, Jaina, and Malfurion. The 3 heroes representing the good boys and the good girls. And you just have to hold it. And there's wave after demons storming up, and that was very memorable. But I think the coolest mission, personally, that I'm looking forward to is in the new graphics and new style is Illidan storming the Outlands in the red zone, with the red burning
is that
fires.
Where he's captive? Is that the mission?
And he's joined by Lady Vash and Kel'Thas. That's when they unite, and it's kind of like it gives me Burning Crusade vibes in World of Warcraft when you have these 3 raid bosses, and here in Warcraft you see them all take on Magtheridon, I think he was called, the Pit Lord model. Yeah. And it's just cool, man. You fight with Blood Elves, you fight with Naga, and even Draenei, dude. Even Akama and the corrupted Draenei, they join too. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I want to see those models. I want to see all those models in Reforged.
I think they have been out there, and I'm glad they kept that a bit scuffed look of the Draenei.
Oh, they're so ugly. I hated them in Classic. I hated them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be sad if they lost that appearance.
Yeah, you got to keep the ugly look sometimes, because sometimes ugly is good.
It is. It's iconic.
It's iconic. Very true.
Everyone remember. I mean, you remembered that it was ugly.
Yeah.
So, it's iconic.
All right, you got a question, RehcraM, from the res that you wrote down, or should I keep going?
You can just keep going if you're all right with it.
Okay, I've got 3 more questions written down. Actually 4. Actually, I forgot about it. There was a third Twitter question that I wrote down from Endars, from Tom. So he asked several things, so I'm just going to go over it. If Reforged introduces global matchmaking...
We can make like bullet point answers.
Yeah. Okay, first part. If Reforged introduces global matchmaking, what will that mean for NetEase? And to me, that question is easy to answer. I don't know.
It's also easy to answer me because there won't be global matchmaking. Only on PTR. Yeah. And if there were in like a theoretical world, I guess they would have to find some way to intervene NetEase and Blizzard.
Mm-hmm.
But there won't be global matchmaking. I'm like 99% sure they said that.
Yeah. Next part of his question is Happy's participation in the Rising Star Cup, presented by Warcraft, Back to Warcraft and AMD, an issue?
No, not in my opinion. I've seen a lot of people, question it and say, "Oh, it's annoying when there's someone who's that good." Mm-hmm. But I think personally, I like that you have a chance to meet someone that good, and there's always gonna be someone who's good. So if it's not Happy, then it's Hawk or Mr. Winner who's gonna take it all. No, I mean, there's always gonna be one best player, and in that case, it's Happy. And they have a prize for beating Happy. That's cool. I don't know if you heard. There's like a bounty on eliminating Happy.
That's so cool.
I think that's fun.
That's
even
funny.
If no one's ever gonna beat him. But
I think that's a very elegant way of having another mechanic, if you will, in the tournament, and I think that's great. That's fantastic. Have the Happy bounty, and the thing is also, who is the cup made for? It's made for everyone in the first place. Now, the moment you see any pro player, semi-pro, whatever you want to call them, participate, when you're a normal person, you know, okay, I can only get this far. But I'm doing it for me, and I'm doing it for fun, and maybe, maybe I'm playing a perfect game, and I can surprise myself and a lot of people. But most people, they probably don't expect to win the whole thing because there is such a gap in skills. So ultimately, why should you prevent 1 or 2 players from participating when there's plenty of others? Where do you draw the line? And the moment you as a tournament organizer have this ruling, it can only do bad things for you. It can only cause people to get frustrated, you to get bad publicity. So it would be very unpractical to exclude someone just because they're good. Because where do you draw the line?
Yeah, I think so. Not a problem.
Not a problem in my books.
Yeah, agreed.
I love that bounty, by the way. I love that Happy bounty.
I'm not sure how big it is. It's a good idea.
Yeah. You beat Happy in the Rising Star Cup, and he has to forfeit his next tournament earnings to you.
Wow. To beat him right before VGL. Find the right time.
Yeah. Okay, next part of Ender's question. Should people cheer for Romantic and Blade now that they're back after being banned for a year?
Well, I'm in a bit of a conundrum here because Romantic, he's been one of my favorite players for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Playstyle-wise, he introduced my all-time favorite strategy with mass summons or reintroduced it, I should say, against Undead. I can't help myself cheering for him, for Romantic especially, even though he did something stupid. And yeah, I think he owned up to it and apologized for it, and took his ban. So he's probably not the, what do you call it, the nicest guy I would say, but that's not what I want to say. He's not like abiding to all the rules.
Poster child.
Exactly. Yeah. But I don't think it's a problem to have him or to cheer for him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same with Blade, I guess.
I agree. It's like I transfer this belief into almost all facets of my personal life, namely that everyone deserves a second chance. Unless they stream snipe me, then they shall burn in hell.
Okay, fair enough.
No, I'm just kidding. Everyone deserves a second chance, whether that's in real life, people messing up, people making mistakes. I'm never the kind of person who says, "Okay, that's it. I never want to talk to you again," or "I never want to see you again."
Yeah. But
So
it's fair enough if people don't want to cheer for them because they did some stupid
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
Then completely all right with me. But I want to cheer for them if I like them.
yeah. Yep. Okay. So I think it's legitimate. People can cheer for these players. People can root for them. I don't have a problem with anyone who cheers for Romantic or Blade. Just have it your way. To each their own. What
Yes.
are the 5 top players of each race outside of Asia? That's a spicy one.
Top 5, that's a lot.
Let's say top 3 then to make it
Top 3.
easier.
Okay, should we start with Night Elf? We have Foggy. We have Sonic, probably second.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder who the third is. Is it Starshaped? I won't say Long Walk because he doesn't
Starshaped
participate that
Nepo?
much. Nate Push, oh yeah. I mean, Napo has eliminated me from the last 2 tournaments I participated in, so he's the obvious candidate. I actually think Napo is better than Sonic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Foggy, Napo, and Sonic. I think Sonic takes the edge over Starshaped.
If he's in a good shape, yeah. If he's in a good mood.
Yeah, he's but it's the same with Starshaped. Starshaped also underperforms a lot sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, both.
Undeads.
Undeads, happy. And
That's a no-brainer.
It is. It's a freebie. Happy and oh, this is tough.
A few months ago, I would have said Ente, but
Sheesh.
he's disappeared.
Yeah, he plays a bit, but not very much.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say I want to say Sheik and then Van maybe.
Yeah.
Or Side. I don't know who's best.
I haven't seen much from Juan lately, though.
He's started streaming a bit again, but he doesn't stream a lot. He said he is demotivated, so I think they're all playing Path of Exile because there's a new season.
What about Terra?
Terra is someone who has surprised me lately. I was pleasantly surprised by his performance, but I don't think he's on the same level as the others.
People in chat say Kraf or Kraf.
Yeah, I just don't think he participates in enough.
He's kind of he's kind of the person that I get excited about when he queues into Grubby because the matches are always good.
He plays good, interesting style. It's like kind of Matt Frog-ish with gargoyles and a lot of ghouls.
And
I wouldn't put him in top 3.
I tried really hard to find an argument for Mad Frog to be included yet. Not yet though. Not yet. Working on it. Work in progress.
If he continues the same growth he's done, then he's getting there.
Side? What about our boy?
I mean, Side he's like on par with Juan. I think Side is better than Juan actually right now because Side plays a bit more. So I mean, maybe Side sneaks in on the 3rd place.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe
Europe is so stacked with good undeads. It can, aside from Happy, who's in his own category, that it can literally change any day, like who becomes part of top 3.
Yeah, that's true. It's hard to judge.
Now, humans.
Humans, we have Hawk, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And
Thorzane.
Yeah. We have Cruncher, Thorzane, and we have Blade also. Very good player. It's hard to boil it down to
Johnny Cage looked good lately, man.
Johnny Cage as well. I think the other 4 are all stronger than Johnny Cage.
Mm-hmm.
Is what my gut is telling me. And
top
I think
5, you would probably put him in there.
Yes, agreed.
Death Note. Top 5, not top 3.
Not top 3 though, no. But he's up there. I mean, he's close as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe even Thorzane because he plays so little. Maybe he's not in top 3. it's hard to tell.
Yeah. All right. Then we have the orcs. And we mentioned before that we like Hitman and Spiral a lot. So these are a given, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I think Cash
makes a strong claim. Look good in Fight Night, I'm just saying.
Yeah, that might actually be very easy. Isn't it just those three? I mean, then they have people like Nuff and Pride coming, but they're a bit behind.
Mm-hmm. You know who I want to be more active again for the orcs?
No. Tell me.
I'm gonna let you guess it. He's from Spain.
Lucifron.
Yeah.
Lucifron.
I want him to play more and come back, man.
He's still in chat. And still he's a beast. He doesn't really play anymore. But when he plays, then he's really good. And then I actually think he's on par with Spiral and maybe Hitman.
Mm-hmm.
But he's kind of inactive right now.
So many players are slumbering, I feel, or just, showing minimal signs of activity. They're hibernating. I really hope when Reforged comes out and multiplayer works well and there's initial hype going, I really think we're going to see people like Lucifron or still just enter the battlefield again. It would be so nice. Even Vortex could be nice.
I hope so.
Yeah.
And Orkworker, we didn't mention Orkworker, but he's also kind of inactive. So I wouldn't put him in top 3 either.
Yeah, true.
But he's playing Nutties again. So maybe he's coming back for tournaments.
That would be so cool. That's a great question, though, Endars. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Now, next one comes in on Twitter as well. Sorry, that was Reddit now. Now we move on to Reddit. We had Twitter. We had the Discord. Now we move to Reddit. I'm going to start off with Lumpia Verkopa. Sounds a little Dutch. Fancy. I'm not sure if it's Dutch. Verkopa would be my guess for vendor, because the German word is very, very similar. How do you say vendor or seller in Danish?
Købmand, I think.
So you think?
Really... I mean, there's probably several words for it. The most normal one is købmand.
Okay, so how do you call someone who sells veggies?
En grønthandler.
Händler. Yeah, that's the German word. I love it. Okay, cool. Is something happening with Elf versus Orc, or is the Keeper Hunts meta here to stay?
Good question. Keeper Hunts is obviously the best strategy, and I think now it's with a late expansion. It used to be an early expansion with Keeper Hunts, and now they prioritize upgrades. But is it here to stay? For this patch, is certainly here to stay. But I think there's a lot of strategies that are on par, not on par with it, but just below it, like a second tier strategies. Like Demon Hunter Talents, I still think is a viable strategy. We see Lolite, for example, play it a lot on ladder. Even Keeper Archers into Talents, so you have a big power spike on early tier 2 before the Orc gets a lot of dispel. That can be really strong. I play that a lot because a lot of Orcs don't know how to deal with it. And then even like Demon Hunter Archers into Dryads.
That was going to be my next thing. Like, is Keeper still a given, or can we mix the Demon Hunter in again finally?
I mean, Demon Hunter can work both with Talents and Dryads. On high level, probably not the absolute highest. Definitely on ladder. If you're a ladder player who doesn't like the Keeper meta and wants to play Demon Hunter, there are a magnitude of options for you.
That's the thing I want to highlight in any meta or matchup discussion. Just because you see things on WGL or you see things in a really high skill level environment, it doesn't mean that you have to play that in order to win on ladder. It's the only way you can play. Otherwise, you cannot win, because especially on ladder, in a more casual environment, you can get away with the craziest things. You can play neutral heroes.
It's not that crazy. It's just it's a solid strategy that falls a bit short compared to Keeper and Hunts.
Yeah, agree. And then we have Tish3 or Tisha, if you want to pronounce the 3 like an E. Lead speak. What changes to balance do you expect at the next big patch? Well, clearly we're going to nerf Carrion Swarm because it's unplayable against.
Obviously.
Obviously.
That's a given. Why do we even mention that?
Yeah.
Oh.
Honestly, I think Mountain King will be addressed at some point. It feels like the hero sometimes, in my opinion, gets too much done with too little counterplay.
Yes, I want to agree, but I also think there's some misconception with Mountain King, generally speaking, because a lot of people are complaining about Clap, and Clap is a very strong ability. But if you look at the metagame, you don't see a lot of Clap currently. You can argue that Clap is the reason why you don't see Orc play Blade Master anymore. But right now, you pretty much always take Bolt and Bash if you do not pick Mountain King first. So I think if you reverted Mountain King back to the old patch like 1.28, I want to say he's like stronger in a vacuum, but in this meta, then I think that Mountain King was stronger than he is now, arguably.
That's a good point, actually. That Mountain King clap is good and forces other people to play around it. And funnily enough, Orcs ever since then, with Farseer getting back into the mix, have been doing surprisingly well.
I mean, Clap is one of the abilities, like, if it works, then it looks completely stupid and, like, feels like it two-shots an entire army on its own, and it just feels stupid. At least, I mean, TC Stomp, that's a strong ability, but at least it needs, like, follow-up from the Orc. Mounting, he does it on his own. But while I think it's strong, it's right now, I don't think Clap is the problem with, if there's a problem with human.
What would you say is it?
That's the big question that I'm not prepared to answer. I don't know. I think maybe we need to tune down Rifleman. That's mostly for the sake of against Night Elf.
I want to. Have we ever thought about maybe just very gently, and I mean very gently, thinking about changes to Brilliance Aura?
Oh, they already changed it. They nerfed it. So done. They nerfed it on. Oh, I can't. They reverted some of it, but I believe they nerfed level 2 Brilliance Aura, and then they buffed level 3, and I might be mistaken here. But
it's hard to really put the finger on it, right? Because so much stuff was changed or nerfed for human already. And there is a very real threat that the race could fall back into 1.30 state, where it just didn't look good at all.
Yeah. I think it's, I'm not really qualified to answer balance.
Exactly. So maybe
I think if you re-nerf Riflemen so they are on the old state, then I think human has a problem because it's still quite difficult to expand against Night Elf. It can be, at least.
What do you think about to move away from just bashing one individual race? What do you think about it gets brought up a lot. I know Remo is a big fan of discussing these things, but the RNG on items. The variety of drops. Let's say you have an aura in one red camp and a hood of cunning on the other, and that can be oftentimes game breaking.
Remo's suggestion was to remove the stat items from red camps and replacing them with the Crown of Kings.
Oh yeah,
I think that is otherwise against that. I think that's a bit overtuning.
Yeah,
I think he underestimates how sick an item Crown of King is. But what do I think of RNG and items? I think it's a part of the game, but I also think that sometimes it's too much. Like finding a flute if you're playing Rifleman or Mass Headhunts is so insane compared to finding Bone Chimes.
Yeah.
But that's because of your army, so that's also what makes it hard to sort of balance out, probably. So I don't really have a perfect solution for it. I don't want them to just remove the RNG and have you see the item beforehand, or pick what you want.
Yeah,
I don't really.
It's just when you have these things that looks unfair, looks imbalanced on paper sometimes. Don't forget, you always have to see it, I think, from a player's perspective and from a viewer's perspective. Because when I watch Warcraft 3, when I commentated, I love the RNG. I love it so much because I'm like, oh man, this is so unfortunate. Oh, this is so good. And then you really feel the emotions. You can almost feel like you're inside of that player. You're feeling the agony when you get the wrong aura, or you get that Hood of Cunning. But you can also feel the joy, the rejoice, when you find the perfect aura for your army, the perfect thing to make your game complete. So, but as a player, it's hard to say, man.
But they all already tune it down a little bit, like buffing Rings of Protection. I think that was a good change, and also think rooming Crystal Ball from the red.
I like
red
Crystal Ball
was,
now, dude.
Yeah, me too. Mostly because I'm bad at scouting, so it it gives me easy access to scouting whenever I want. But yeah, that was just, it felt so bad to find that, because when you creep red items,
I think red spots are really the only problem in this, right?
No, I mean finding a clause of something.
Okay, clause. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. If you're trying to harass a human with undead as a fast expander and Archmage is right-clicking you,
yeah,
that doesn't feel good if they find
slippers
claws.
of agility on your Archmage, the dream.
Yeah, fantastic. Gotta get that extra armor.
I would say that the red spots are probably the most dramatic ones potentially, but you're right. It can already be a green or a yellow spot too. But personally, I think it's just part of the game. I wouldn't want to change it too much.
Yeah, tune it down a bit, maybe like removing Tome of Experience. That was a good change.
That was a good change.
Some like Twisted Meadow. I saw a game with TH versus Lin. TH got first the tome from the lab, and then crypt the orange cam, and he's level 3 Archmage, and then he just killed a burrow Lin has, and it didn't really seem like he could do anything about it.
Yeah, that's true.
I think it's good that tome is gone.
So yeah, it's really hard, as you can say, Tish. It's really hard to come up with things that you could have. You can have 12-hour talks about balance, and you would still not have a perfect solution to it. That's how fickle, how susceptible the game is.
Disagree with you afterwards.
But it was an interesting question nonetheless. And only Blizzard knows. Essentially, they are the only ones who know what they want to do. We can only try to raise our voices of concern or agreement.
I think one thing I want to mention is that I don't think there should be any item that you always want to get or you never want to get. Like Crystal Ball. You never want to get Crystal Ball in pretty much any scenario. And
they did a good job with that, actually.
Yeah.
Even Shadow Cloak Cloak of Shadows is now, while it is not your favorite item, it's still not an item where you're like, oh, I'm never going to use that.
Oh, I really like it, actually. I mean, it's depending on the situation, of course, but sometimes it's just so much value.
Yep.
So I like Cloak as it is now.
Yep. And our final question, man, we've already passed the 60 minutes mark. I love it. I knew this segment was going to be a good one, a fruitful one. Comes from our friend Neo from Back to Warcraft, and he asked a question: what is your favorite, or in your opinion, the best Warcraft 3 moment of the decade? Because it's 2019, it's our final podcast of the year, very likely. So
final podcast of the decade.
Of the decade, that's true. Whoa. And we had a long decade from 2010 to 2019. There are so many big moments, I assume, that you could mention, but only one is chosen. RehcraM, do you have one, or do you need more time to consider? Because I have mine. I was able to do a little bit of thinking.
First of all, before I reveal mine, because I have seen the question, I just want to say that I think it's funny that Neo mentions this, because he knows that
he wants to make us sweat. I know it. He wants to make us sweat.
He knows that you came into the scene again in like 19, wasn't it?
That's fine though, because I've always followed. It's fine.
Oh, you always followed.
Yeah, I always followed. I always watched, but I never like commentating. That's true. Commentating, I was like a year ago, 1.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
but he knows that I first joined the scene in 17. So he's probably just rubbing his hands and say, "I
How
got
much
you."
back to Warcraft have you been watching over the last 10 years?
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, obviously, I have a lot to read up on, and I haven't
Mhm.
watched every event. But one of the events that I watched after joining
Mhm.
was WCA with Jaws making it to the final, and he came in like like I think they called him a tourist in the just someone who comes to China to check it out and participate and then hope.
Yeah.
He made it through the winners bracket. He made it to the final,
Mhm.
where he met Fly, who he had kicked down to the losers bracket once, and because he comes from winner bracket, he's already 1-0 entering this. He wins the first match, so he's 2-0, has to win one more game, and is the absolute underdog. And then through 3 really, really close games, he then ends up losing.
Oh man.
And it's both heartbreaking because it's so close and it is
Mhm.
so Cinderella story making that far. But what makes it like the cream of the crop moment for me is that he had the sportsmanship to hug Fly after and laugh about it immediately. And that's just
That's super
even
cool.
though I didn't see it live, then
Mhm.
just hearing Neo and Remo's cast over it, you can almost live the moment, even though
Mhm.
you aren't there, and then seeing Josh taking it like a man.
And
That's
that's really cool as well because when you have players that are not considered to be the top favorites or the top elite, you can see emotions that you would never see from someone like Moon. You can see tears or you can see hugs, just friendly stuff all or I shouldn't say you wouldn't see it from Moon, but less likely to happen.
yeah. We saw Lin in RGL, and
Yeah.
I mean that's just another J on the job. He's won so many things that he barely even
True.
smiled
True.
when he won.
So
So
yeah. Cool
I
moment,
understand
man.
what you
I
mean.
like it. I
Yeah.
like it a lot. Fellow
How about
countrymen, of
you?
course.
Indeed. Yeah.
Yeah. Would be cool to see him back in Reforged a little bit more often too.
Agreed. He streamed like, I don't know, a year ago, a little
Mhm.
bit, and then disappeared again.
Love it.
Would be nice to see him back.
So, man, Neo, you challenged me quite a bit with that question, but I have one for you, and that was very far away at the what I think was the final BlizzCon we ever had in 2010. And there was a game that I remember. There were many games that were good. The finals, I think, Remind versus was it Lin or T? No, it was Remind against I forgot. I think it might have been Infi actually. Remind Infi and Remind won. Obviously, that's what I remember. But there was a game between Grubby and Moon that lasted an hour, and it was insane. It was crazy. I remember I watched that after not following Warcraft 3 for a while because I was busy with other stuff. But I watched that one, and it was crazy. It was a level 9 Blade Master, and it was Mass Talons back in the days. Mass Talons.
Sure.
Night. He played against Moon, Grubby versus Moon. That was the matchup. Mass Talons for Night Elves, Beastmaster, the good old days. And there was it was crazy because Moon built an expansion next to Grubby's base on Twisted Meadow.
Of course, it's Twisted Meadow.
Yeah, Twisted Meadow.
60-minute game. Then it's probably Twisted Meadow.
And Grubby had not scouted for such a long time, and he was oblivious of it. And he played like he wanted to finish the game because he thought Moon did only have one base. And Moon didn't have just one base, so he kept rebuilding talents and heroes, and even had a second base at some point. So it was crazy. Grubby just storming into the base over and over, Moon defending. And in the end, I think we had like a level 9 Blade Master, 7 Demon Hunter, and Stampede, Beastmaster. Tinker was in the mix, I think. And Moon actually won, which everyone thought it was Grubby's game to win. But Moon held on, and then Metamorphosis, and he came back. It was just crazy. It was absolute nuts. And that was also Moon kicking Grubby out of the qualification, I think.
it's cool that you can have such games that like stand out in your memory like 10 years after.
It's insane. And then I think during that BlizzCon we even had outside of the games we had Kim Fan cast, who was then later turned out to be the esports global chief manager, whatever you want to call it. I don't remember her exact job description, but she was the head of esports basically from all of Blizzard. So to see her cast this was just insane. So cool. And I hope that satisfies you, Neo. I hope I did good.
If it's approved, we'll have to wait and hear from him.
Yeah. I mean, we have to invite either Neo or Remo at some point.
Yeah, I mean, we had Neo once.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see any problem happening again. But I would also like to have Remo in the new year.
Yeah. Definitely. So I'm checking if we have any questions left unanswered that I wrote down, but I think we got all of them. Just great. So yeah, man, RehcraM, dude, we are in 1 hour and 20. I think this is a very good and healthy duration for the podcast lovers out there. And it's also the last podcast of the year of the decade, as we now established.
Indeed.
And we have a young history. It's really a cool project, though, that I enjoy so much. And I'm very grateful that you're on this journey, too. Hopping on the stream every time. Your expertise and charm.
For you having me.
I love it, man. Thank you very much. And thank you to you guys out there as well for always listening, viewing, sharing whatever you do for the show. That really means a lot. And I'm really happy and proud of what we were able to accomplish here, with our cozy niche podcast. And hopefully with Reforged and
good podcasts.
Yeah. Hopefully with Reforged and 2020 we can grow together, we can spread the word and have all sorts of fun and awesome guests on the show. And RehcraM, I would like you to be the man who closes the show for the year and the decade with final words and shoutouts.
Oh man, you already thanked everyone.
No pressure.
I was supposed to do that with the final words. No, I'm gonna say everyone should go check out Kendric's video with Kivikagi. I enjoyed that a whole lot. The breakdown of a replay with Kivikagi style, where Kendrick gets the position of asking all the dumb questions, if that's all right for me to say.
Of course, man.
So I don't have to ask myself.
I go in blindly into this game, so I have no idea what happens. And I imagine, I try to put myself in the perspective of a YouTube viewer as well, who kind of has these questions and can't ask it to Kiwi because they're not in there. So I'm trying to ask sometimes dumb questions that I know the answer to, most likely. But yeah.
That's exactly the role you should have, so I don't have to ask him myself. Come running and say, Kiwi, please help me. No, I think it's a great format, and I hope you will do more with Kiwi and more other players. And that's my closing.
I can spoiler one thing.
Oh.
There's one more with Kiwi in the making and one with a different player.
Ay. Are you going to tell us the race of the different player, or is that top secret?
Likely undead.
Okay. So you're not settled on the actual...
No.
Sure.
But thanks for the shout-outs, RehcraM. Thanks.
My pleasure.
Yeah, guys, we will see you with for more Warcraft 3 in the new year with Reforged and all the good stuff. So thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and have a great day.
And good Christmas and Happy New Year.
Absolutely.